The series has a lot of mood to it. It's dark. It has that softness that I definitely want to talk to you about, like how you got that nice soft look around it. But it lives a lot in the shadows, like I think all horror and kind of scary, creepy things do. When you're filming in black and white, and you already have a series that's living in the shadows, let's say, for lack of a better term, do you change the way that you film or light for those darks when you're working in black and white?
Yeah, for me, it's interesting because, there's an expectation of continuity through the series, but I'm always feeling motivated to keep things fresh and trying to introduce slightly new looks, maybe slightly new camera languages that really are specific to that episode, or specific to a story point, specific to a character maybe, or maybe just specific to a mood or a moment in that scene, with lighting and camera work and things like that. So approaching the black and white episode, definitely thought about making things darker. It was period, so nothing's really lit by any kind of incandescent lighting. It's all supposed to be lit by moonlight, sunlight, candlelight.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Which inherently makes things darker, things fall off faster, and also makes some of the highlights brighter, because if you're next to a flame or something like that, it's inherently much, much brighter than it would be just a few feet away, which can help you a little bit because you can hide things in the shadows. I think that's one of the things about genre filmmaking is that it's what you don't see that's potentially unnerving.
Yeah.
So you can use that a lot in those period pieces with candlelight, and even stuff that had incandescent lighting, but it wasn't as powerful as, today we have LEDs and fluorescence where things are bright for the most part. But I think throughout history, people lived a lot more in darkness. And so it's kind of fun to embrace that and use it to your advantage in the storytelling.
It's a good point that you're working within a time period that didn't have incandescent lights. So you are kind of bound to, candlelight, moonlight, sunlight. What kind of actual lights are you bringing in to give you that illusion of candlelight and sunlight and moonlight? How do you make it feel real?
Well, it's interesting nowadays with our cameras, they're so sensitive, right? They're so light sensitive. I came up with 100 ASA film and, everything was really hot. We had hot lights beaming in, we had hot lights on set. And it was, on, sets were like Petri dishes. One person would get sick and the heat would make everybody uncomfortable. Nowadays with LEDs, you have a lot more control. You have a lot more control with color. You have a lot more control with dimming. We have, gaffers walking around set with an iPad that's controlling everything wirelessly. I even tease that some of the young electricians don't even wear gloves anymore. I came up as an electrician. I was a gaffer for 100 years. And, everybody had gloves because everything you touched was literally burning.
Exactly.
And, more of that's fun. But nowadays with LEDs, things are a little bit easier. We're not have as much waste. We're not throwing gels away. We're able to adjust things on the moment. Like literally during a take, somebody can just ride a light down in intensity or change its color. So I tend to use a lot more LEDs. At first, I was hesitant to embrace that. I was kind of old school. But as they got better and better, the control is pretty amazing. I'm not a big fan of the quality always. Now they're coming out with more and more Fresnel lights that are LED based. So it kind of goes back to that harder, sharper light that's a little bit more controllable. But normally, initially they've been kind of soft and the color hasn't been that great. But this has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. And they're really great tools. I mean, just power alone, like we're not running miles of 4-aught cable anymore. It's all just, extension cords or stingers as we call them.
Yeah.
So back to our cameras being more sensitive. We're not using that much light anymore. So actually able to use candles in a lot of situations. There's double wick, there's triple wick candles that actually give off a pretty big flame and make it bright enough to photograph, which is kind of shocking having come up in a more traditional photographic environment. There's a scene where the two sisters are sitting on a bed talking to each other, and it's actually only lit by one candle.
Really?
Yeah, surprisingly enough. And, we pushed the exposure index of the camera just a little bit, and we have faster lenses. So there's little ways to help augment and cheat that single camera lighting or single candle lighting.